All right, guys. Here we go. This is take number 3. I hope you guys are doing well. Jason Wilmot here. I think that I have the audio figured out. So here's the deal. Went live once, no audio. Talked for about 8 minutes before I looked at anything and realized that this wasn't working. So hopefully it is working now. Thank you to those who joined and then bailed and gave me the heads up on all of this. But so what I want to do is, hey, there's a viewer. I hope that the audio is working. Hey, is the audio working? I'm going to drop this caption down here. I'll say this. Is my audio working this time? I think it is because I'm seeing the things on my screen. So we'll just have to go with that. So, what I did was I basically pulled out the cartridge. There it is. Yes. Hey, thanks guys. Pulled out the cartridge, did the quick load, did the whatever. I'm dating myself. Anyways, never bailed. Hey, I appreciate that. So, okay. Guys, I hope that you are doing great. So, I went into this like deep, detailed story about things and, whatever. Unless you are able to read lips, then you aren't able to kind of follow along. So anyways, what I want to do is I just wanted to hop on a live because I haven't done this in literally weeks. I don't know when the last time it was, but the nice thing is since that I've last spoken with you, there is a new background. There's a new place. We are down in Puerto Rico, and we made the move about 3 weeks ago. The family and we brought all of our kids, and we're just kind of settling in. So it took us a while to kind of get on our feet. Just like we didn't have a vehicle for the longest time. We have a golf cart here. That's kind of the main way to get around, honestly, where we live, which seems a little bit weird. So we were able to, get a golf cart and bum a couple rides to the grocery store and kind of stock up. And our car, when I say car, I'm talking about our Honda minivan because we are a family of 6. Got the old Honda minivan late last week. And so we're looking forward to kind of exploring the island. So, today, and that's what I'm going to be kind of talking about. What I want to do is just like step back. Okay, well, why did we end up down in here in Puerto Rico? Well, the main reason why is basically, about 6 years ago, I quit my job and I hopped into tech. But it was even before that my wife and I were just like, hey, how can we figure out some sort of life where we can work from anywhere, we can travel, we can bring our kids along, we can do all of this. And we didn't have any kids at the time. And that we would have had when it came to having kids. But a goal was always like, let's create a lifestyle where we're just going to do things a little bit different. And I know not everybody can do that. So I feel like humble in saying that. But at the same time, we worked our way into this. So it wasn't easy by any means. But here we are. A couple months ago, we listed our house. It sold. We basically downsized. We threw some stuff in storage. Thank you, Mom and Dad, and your outbuilding. I appreciate that. But then basically we made the move here down to Puerto Rico, packed our bags, had 12 checked bags, and we arrived. So it's been nice to kind of get back on our toes. Took a while just to get like internet set up. And there's just like little things that you don't even think about, right? So got Wi-Fi, but of course these are all cement walls. Because obviously you don't want your house to get blown away by a hurricane here. And so like literally we couldn't get any Wi-Fi connection from the bedroom, or like here I'm in my bedroom / office / whatever else you want to call it. But yeah, in the living room to the bedroom, there's no connectivity. So had to figure out how to do a Google Mesh network and just all of these little things. So that, and the power goes off from time to time here. So if the power comes off and then pops back right on, I know that I am going to probably be ending this live stream because I don't have a battery backup generator yet. Because whatever, there's just little things that you have to kind of like, little things are becoming the new normal. So anyways, so first of all, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for talking or listening here, and thank you for the comments. And I truly appreciate that. I should have looked at the comments earlier to say that, hey, this guy's audio isn't working. So anyways, here we are, Puerto Rico, learning Spanish, kind of getting our footing, I should say, but it's been really fun so far. Met a lot of good entrepreneurs down here, a lot of fun people, kind of families who are just wanting to do something differently as well, right? So yeah, that's kind of the main reason why I don't want to get into like too many Puerto Rican details of why you should move to Puerto Rico or any of this other stuff. But yeah, it's what we're going to do for now. It's what we're going to try to do for a few years, and I hope it works out. So, anyways, the reason why I want to come on and talk today, though, is because I'm literally like kind of fleshing out this idea called mastering funnels. And what I wanted to do with this was kind of take this as a lean startup approach. So to date, I've helped businesses, a lot of businesses, build really decent revenue streams through funnels, right? Worked with TikTok, worked with The Weeknd, Grammy Award-winning artists, and kind of something that I always came back to, right? Was like because I like teaching, right? And I like this aspect of it, but this is also the service that I provide as an agency. So I'm fine with getting on and talking here, but over basically like the last 2 months or so, I was kind of challenged myself to sort of thinking of I want to create a framework, an evergreen framework, right? And that's kind of difficult. How do I build an evergreen framework to take somebody through like this concept of a funnel, so that day one they like, you hear the word funnel, and then by the end of this workshop, you understand basically how to make a funnel work. And that's not everybody's cup of tea, and I get that. But going out and like old Jason would have like gone and built some, thing and pre-recorded and have this email drip and all this other stuff. And like, that's not what I'm gonna do. If you've been following along, like a past few months ago, we sort of launched this offer called Paragon Agent. That's a standalone offer for real estate agents. And I didn't really have any marketing material during the time. So I just decided to go live. And, that's exactly the same thing that I'm doing here. What I did back then was just like go live and try to work out some marketing materials, try to get some talking points, try to get some feedback from the market. And that's kind of what I'm doing today. So like I said, over the past few months, I've been kind of toying around with the idea of mastering funnels. And I'm going to have the first beta group kind of come through this process. But the purpose of today's video is try to walk you through kind of this idea of what does it look like to be proficient at funnels. Now, I know mastering funnel is a bit like, is ostentatious the right word to use? It's putting yourself out there like, hey, Jason, like, what have you done to master funnels or whatnot? But, what I would say is like, I've done enough of these and I've helped businesses revenue literally millions and millions of dollars. But here's kind of the idea. Last summer, I was in charge of working with a team that worked with The Weeknd and worked with TikTok and a VR startup. And we did this collaborative venture together, and it was awesome. It was a little bit of high pressure, but during that time, we did this both for John Legend and we did this for The Weeknd. And the experience that I'm going to talk about right here is for The Weeknd. So basically what I was tasked with was basically, how do we construct a funnel so that we have tracking systems, so that we know our opt-in rates, so that we know our conversion rates across different sources, whether it's organic, whether it's going to be through the agency, whether it's going to be through all of these different factors, right? And what I needed to produce was a real-time trackable system that I could then, look at the data in real time and tell the people running the ads, like, hey, no, this audience is garbage. This one's great. Spend more money here. Like, you can't have that sort of system, right? Unless you've done this a time or two. And that kind of got me thinking, reflecting back on this is like, well, how do you get somebody from basically, who didn't understand this, and that was exactly me, to somebody who can like spin this up and has no problem with this? And then on top of that, how can this be evergreen? How could you do this for basically 5 years from now, when who knows what the best platform is going to be? Maybe it's TikTok ads, maybe it's YouTube ads, maybe it's still going to be Facebook or Instagram or all these other things, but we don't know, right? What is this transformational process of starting basically with an idea of your offer all the way through to the end, to like, getting people and scaling this offer because you see the results and you know where the results are coming from, and then you can put more time, money, and energy into it. So I started breaking this framework down, and I'm going to actually be bringing a marketing agency through this starting on Thursday. So I'm going to be fleshing out a little bit of this. But kind of as I alluded earlier, what I'm doing with these lives is I'm just talking through what this workshop is going to be about and seeing if like this fits in the market. I want to do like this very lean startup sort of approach to this, just to make sure that we're hitting the spot. So I'm going to be going live over the next few weeks. Today, we're going to be talking about funnel architecture. Basically, it's math and money. I'm going to be talking about tracking systems. We're going to be talking about segmentation. We're going to be talking about, basically like logic, how to think through audience segmentation. We're going to talk about intent-bound or intent-based marketing, as well as disruptive-based marketing. But today, what we're going to focus on is funnel architecture. So what I'm calling this is basically mastering funnels, starting from scratch to scaling successfully. So what I want this also to be is kind of platform agnostic. So whether you're working with influencers, whether you are an e-commerce store, whether you're running Facebook ads, Google search, all of these things, like all of these will work with this framework. Okay. So whether you're doing this for yourself, whether you're a coach, a consultant, whether you are a course creator, whether you're a small business owner, whether you're an agency and you provide these services, like this is the audience. Hopefully you are watching, and this is the audience that I'm speaking to. So this is sort of the idea that I'm fleshing out. And today what we're going to be talking about is kind of the most important part, honestly. So today we're going to talk briefly about this part. And I don't want to spend too much time on this because there's other like plenty of resources on how to like build an offer and all of this. But one of the things that I want to get into on this offer is like, this is the most important part. And unfortunately, not enough folks think about this. They're like, if this we're just one funnel away or something like catchy and somewhat true, there's so many things that happen in between then. You can have the perfect funnel in the world. You can have a funnel architect like myself build this funnel for you, right? But at the end of the day, you have to have an offer that the market wants, right? And I think that is very, very important. So before you go out and you start creating something or creating marketing materials or this website and all this, you need to test the offer. Hence exactly what I am doing, right? This is exactly what I'm doing right now. I've pre-sold this mastering funnels to an agency. I'm going to be guiding 3 of their team members through this, right? They know that I'm going to be building parts of this as we go. So like what I'm trying to do is like really literally like build this as I go, but then kind of bring you along the same process. So if you have an offer, great. If it's validated, great. If you don't have an offer, then this is the way to do it. Like go pre-sell it, go out and get some feedback from people, give them a discounted price, right? But still charge them because your time is worth it. Charge them minimally, charge them 10%, 25%. I don't know what it is, but make them have some skin in the game. And then that will give you the impetus to kind of, continue this. So focus on the offer basics. So what am I trying to do here? Well, I'm essentially trying to build an evergreen framework to bring people through 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. Like what I've seen in the space, just to be completely transparent, are the people who are successful have evergreen offers, right? I've built Funnel Accelerator and I have a lot of folks who have gone through it. And somebody just joined like this week and I love that. But what I'm finding is like the Google Analytics update, or the UI changes on this, the Google Ads UI changes on this, Facebook introduces CBO and all of this. Like, so there's always like these little pieces that you're always going to have to learn, right? But I think more importantly than that, the key to success in funnels is understanding how to think about it, understanding how to read the data, and understanding what to do next, right? So like, yes, I love Facebook ads and I love YouTube ads and like whatever ad system, like I like organic, but like, let's say that you were working with influencers, right? How do you understand if those influencers, whether it's influencer A or B or C, like is actually moving the needle for you? Well, you just have to have like this framework to be able to think through, to be able to determine whether that worked. I was on a coaching call, before we moved down here with these 2 girls on a marketing team. And it was so fantastic because we were kind of ideating of, okay, what's the next marketing campaign look like? And somebody said, oh, well, I think we should do this. And then immediately after that, her partner said, well, I don't know if we can track that. Can we even track that? Like, and to me, that was an incredible statement from her. Like, that was an incredible question because she's going through this mental checklist in her head of like, can we do this? Is the marketing like campaign that we're about to do, is it trackable? Is it predictable? Is it scalable? Like, and if it's not, should we do it? Right. And you can still say yes to that, but if you're going through like these mental checklists in your head, then I think that's going to be, always advantageous to you. So basically Yeah, we want to focus on the offer more than anything. And you need to have that validated. And honestly, what you want to do is you want to have testimonials from those folks who have gone through this. And so it is validated. Testimonials are so powerful. So the next part, though, is understanding the desire of your customer, right? Something that a lot of folks do in this space, or whether it's coaching or consulting, is they're too broad, right? You need to understand what value you can provide to somebody, and you need to be able to stay in your lane and say no to the things that aren't going to no to the things that are outside of the scope that you pitch them. No to anything that's outside of your own internal processes or your SOPs that are going to take away from you really improving, right? I basically know, I'm trying to say, like, I want to say like this kind of, it's going to come off the wrong way. I know a lot about the internet. I know a lot about integrations. I know a lot about email drips, cold email, inbound, SEO, ads, like website on page SEO, website structuring, website development, like all of this stuff, right? That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter though. At the end of the day, what matters is what value can I provide to the market? And then how can I focus on doing this one thing better than everybody else? And so I think that really comes down to talking to your customer. And it goes back to knowing your offer. If you have this idea and you haven't pre-sold this or you haven't pitched it to anybody, like, how do you know if it's going to be valuable? How do you know if it's going to be true? Where I always come back to is understanding the desire of my customer is they want to spend money to make money. And it comes down as easy as that. And if I can be the one to help them do that, then I am going to be sticky. Our agency is going to be sticky. And so that's what I want to be able to do. Now, in this case, with Mastering Funnels, to my mind, this is somebody who wants to do it themselves. So somebody who has an idea, they're a coach, they're a consultant, they're a course creator, they're a business owner, and they want to leverage the internet to scale their business. How do you do that, right? So that is who my focus is on. That is what I'm going to be helping a customer through, is taking them from like the starting from scratch, right? Scaling successfully. Now that doesn't just happen. There's a lot of steps that in between that have to take, but like this middle step basically is launching experiments, looking at data and making decisions based upon it. Then repeating the experiment to understand if that has like it's reproducible. And then again, and if you see these patterns basically that are reoccurring, then you know you can start spending more money and scaling. I mean, literally like talking with somebody a business that I worked with, when I was working with them, I don't know what they're spending on ads, $5,000, $10,000 a month. And they're literally spending $200,000 a month now because it's just working and it's scaling. And the UTM data is piping right into their CRM. So that's what I mean by scaling. It's not just like, hey, let's hope that it works. Like, no, you're looking at the data, you're making decisions, and then you're scaling. It's how I took a business from 14 million to $24 million in just 1 year, is because they had a lot of like inbound, and outbound marketing. But we set up the tracking systems, we could see what was working and what was not. We scaled what was. And it's kind of not as easy as that, but it's kind of it. So the problem you're solving, obviously, that is kind of in the desire of the customer. Where are they? Where are they currently? And then where do they want to be? And your offer kind of needs to fit there in the middle. Now, here's the part where I see a lot of people really, really struggle. And if you're interested in this part, I want to make another video on this. I do have a free resource on this. Hey, thank you guys. There we go. Thanks for the feedback here. So here's the part here. And this is actually kind of talk about without a spreadsheet to show you. But I don't want to show you the spreadsheet because I'm still working on it. Basically, this is the most important part. Whenever I'm on a call with a potential client, right? If we're doing agency work together, I always ask them this very easy question to ask, and it's a very difficult question to answer. And the question is simply, okay, how much are you willing to spend in order to acquire a new customer? I'll say that one more time. How much are you willing to spend to acquire a new customer? Now, I don't ask that question to raise my prices or anything like that. In fact, before I ask that question, I tell them what my rate is. Tell them like all of that piece, because I want to help them understand that this next part is not going to be tied into like what the investment is. I want real, honest answers. Basically, you and I are entering into a relationship of spending money to make more money. Now, what you're looking for, what I'm looking for is the KPI, the key performance indicator. So how much are you willing to spend to acquire a customer? This is called CAC, right? Cost per acquisition. So a lot of folks have a real struggle with this. But I think the easiest way to think about this is e-com. So in e-commerce, if your model is a repeat purchaser, right, you should always be willing to spend up to the value of the average order value to acquire customers. So let's say that your average order value, that's what somebody typically buys is $70. Well, then that means that you should be willing to spend up to $70 to get that customer because you're going to continue to sell to them down the road. I've heard it said like the folks who can the folks who can spend the most money to acquire a customer always win. And I think that's a great way to think about it. But in the lands of in the land of paid ads, this has to be something that you think about and something that you address, because at the end of the day, you are spending money. So where do you kind of get the metrics? Well, honestly, what you need to do is you have to start at the end. You have to start at the end, the bottom of the funnel. So some people think about this like, well, if I'm running a funnel, then the front end has to work, and so my back end will work. And that's actually backwards. You have to think about, what are you ultimately selling? So is it revenue? What is the revenue generated by this? And I know this is different for everybody, but this is why I want to create this framework for folks. So this could be for a course, this could be for your consulting, this could be for your agency, this could be for an e-commerce product. What is this product worth? Let's just say like the revenue that you generate on a sale is $1,000. So how do you like work that backwards? Well, what you need to understand is like, what are the segments of your funnel in order to capture that $1,000? If it's something like a booked phone call, right? Then you have to understand, well, how much am I willing to spend in order to book a phone call? Is it $100, right? Can I spend basically $100 to book a phone call? And then you have to like work the math backwards of like, well, how many phone calls do I actually have to be on to close somebody to get $1,000? And immediately when you start looking at money this way, or you're this way, you realize that you need to charge more, right? Because it's just that much easier. The acquisition game is that much easier. So if you're spending $1,000, if you're basically your offer is $1,000, costs you $100 to get on the phone with somebody. You have to factor in the show up rate. You have to figure out the closing rate. But let's say that you're closing at 25%. That means that you need to be able to spend $400, right? Because that's $100 times 4. You're closing at a 25% rate. That means you're going to have a $600 margin. So that's a really good indicator. But then that's not enough, right? You have to understand, well, how many leads do I have to get in order to book a phone call? Right? So what does that cost per lead? And then you have to think through like, well, how many landing page views do I need to get in order to get a lead? And then you have to work that backwards. Well, how many clicks do I need to get in order to get a landing page view? And then you have to work that backwards. How many impressions do I need to get a click? How many clicks do I need to get a landing page view? How many landing page views do I need to get a lead to opt in? How many leads do I need to opt in to book a phone call? And then how many phone calls do I need in order to make my sale? So a lot of that is way easier when you have the spreadsheet, and I'll try to provide the spreadsheet to that sometime after this video, or you should hop into this Mastering Funnels and I'll give it to you there. But that's the thinking. Like you have to think through this absolutely backwards. And here, speaking of backwards, this is where you will end up if you don't. You're going to end up losing a lot of money. And I can say that from experience, whether that's from my own offers, that's from other offers. Like if you don't have your KPIs really dialed in before you get going, then you are going to be in a world of hurt. You have to know how to like look at your data. You have to put that data in. You have to do it every day. You have to look at your numbers so that you can make heads or tails of this. And so then there's a whole nother layer of complexity beyond that. It's because when you start running ads from different sources, so it's Facebook and it's Instagram or it's YouTube or it's Google search, you've got a lot of numbers flowing in. Right. So how do you know where the leads are coming from? How do you know where the booked phone calls are coming from? How do you know like who books the phone call are the most likely to opt in? Is there like a little post opt-in survey and like you're asking questions? So there's systems for all of this, but it always comes down to math. And this is where people miss out. And I feel like this is something, whether you are a coach or consultant or a course creator or business owner, like this is a piece that you should definitely start with. Maybe even before you're coming up with your offer, because you should just run these numbers And if it's not going to work, either you need to scrap the idea of your offer or you need to raise your prices. It's basically that. And so, all of a sudden, if you have a $1,000 course and you could turn this into a $3,000 coaching, right? Or you have a $1,000 standalone offer as an agency and you want to turn it into a $3,000, like playing around with the math is really, really going to help you, because it's going to actually increase your availability to spend more money to acquire a customer. And that goes exactly back to what we were talking about before. If you can spend more money than your competition to acquire a customer, then you're going to win every time. And that is why the math behind this is so very, very valuable. Okay, I want to stop there to see if there's any questions on that. Hey, thank you for that. See you soon. I don't see any questions at the moment, which is fine. Quick plug for the comment. I know that most people watch this after the fact. In fact, I get a lot of people who are watching this on YouTube. If you have a question, YouTubers or LinkedIners or Facebookers or wherever you're watching this, go ahead and leave a comment below and I can address it in the next live, because like I said, I'm going to be doing this a few times. And I know most people watch it after the fact, so you're not forgotten. Go ahead and drop a question in there if you have it. So, okay, the math. Let me take a break here. All right. It's 3:00 here. I do want to drive down to the beach today, because one thing that I'm forcing myself to do is, like, I could just stay here in this room and continue to work, and I need to work, but at the same time, it's fun to be able to like participate in the, I don't know, nature, like that's here. So, I would love nothing more than to close my computer for months and to come back. But at the same time, this is how we generate revenue, pay the bills, all of that good stuff. So, okay. So we talked about, basically we talked about the offer and how that's basically the meat. If you don't have a good offer, it doesn't matter how many times you play with those spreadsheets or your numbers, it's not going to work. So get that offer sold, get it pre-sold, get some feedback from the market, iterate if you need to. And then next is you have to kind of play around with numbers, so you're knowing what you're willing to spend in order to get, and spend also means time, right? So you can spend money on ads, which I would highly, highly suggest, or you can do this through like DMs and stuff like that, or, cold calls and whatever. It always comes down to math though at the end of the day. So, all right, here's the last thing that we're going to be talking about today. And that is your funnel. Right. So how do you put together a funnel? What does this actually look like? So I'm not going to go too in depth on this. I'm just going to kind of hit talking points, because there are resources that you need to use in order to do this. But basically, like the funnel, right? What does this look like? I mean, like, you can go to Funnellytics, which is a free website, FUNNELYTICS.com, Funnellytics. And you can kind of like map out your funnel, or you can just draw this out. In Funnel Accelerator, in Retargeting IQ, I think I provide kind of like a spreadsheet of this, or a printout of this. But basically, like, okay, if you have a funnel, literally, like, what happens? Like, somebody clicks from an ad or they click from a link, they hit here. What do they need to do on this page? It takes them to this page, then it takes them to this page, then it takes them to this page. Like, is it a form page? Is it a video sales letter? Is it an email opt-in? Is it a sales form? Is there a thank you page? Like, what you should be doing here when you have an offer and you're trying to like figure out your funnel is you literally need to map it out. I need to stop literally, but that's exactly what you need to do. You need to map it out. You need to draw it. You need to know exactly which steps somebody needs to get to. You need to know which steps somebody has to hit before they come like qualified, before they become a customer. There's a thank you page. There's an endpoint, like all of this. And the way that you typically do this is you're going to be doing this through URLs, right? So maybe you have like a landing page, and that landing page takes you to kind of like an offer page, and that offer page leads to a sales page. And if they buy, then they are on a thank you page. Or if they download something, then they're on a thank you page. And if they book a call, then they're redirected to a thank you page. So basically, what you're trying to do here is you're trying to identify the endpoint of when does somebody opt into the funnel, right? what are the segments of the funnel, and then where is the bottom of the funnel. And that's very important for your analytics, because basically what you need to do is you need to, there's a lot of things that you're doing actually right here. But determining these endpoints, what you're trying to do is you're trying to feed these endpoints back to the platforms. So whether it's Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or whatever you're doing, like this system needs to know that this ad actually worked. And so you're trying to train these systems, you're trying to make the AI smarter. But the AI doesn't know how to work until you tell it how to work. And so it's by like creating these endpoints, right? That's why when you're shopping online and you buy something, you're always redirected to a thank you page, right? Because it's on these pages that the systems are quote unquote listening to these to understand whether that, whether somebody actually bought. Same thing holds true for whether you're trying to book phone calls, register for webinars, buy things online. Start 2-week free trials, like request quotes. You're always trying to like find this definitive endpoint so that your systems know, your data knows that some, buddy, quote unquote, either opted in or converted. And the way that you do this are actually through two ways. One is through URLs. So, thank you, URLs, success, whatever, hacktix.com/thank you, hacktix.com/success, whatever. Like people do this through URLs. Now, what I should say is like moving forward, you're going to want to try to do this based upon events. Now, events are a little bit more advanced, but they're a lot better. So event is basically JavaScript, and this is coming from somebody who is a self-proclaimed idiot when it comes to coding and all of this, right? So you don't have to be some master to understand this, but you need to know just like the simple idea of when somebody scrolls on a page or somebody clicks play on this an embedded video, there's little bits of JavaScript that are firing. And so, if somebody's filling out a calendar, filling out a survey form, filling out, I don't know, pressing a button, all of these can be captured through events. And we typically use Google Tag Manager to do that. And that's the way that I've taught before. But these events are really, really robust. And it's a lot better data than just relying on URLs. URLs, somebody might, not hit the page before that, JavaScript loads. And so who knows if they got the thank you page, but events are really handy because what you can do is you can feed them back to your ad platforms. You can feed them into Google Analytics and all of that. So I don't want to get too deep on events, but basically there's two ways to kind of end this loop or in the funnel. So you're trying to get people into your funnel. They're trying to get them to do this one thing. And then you need to be able to determine if they did it or not so that you can have the data on your side, but they can also send your data back to, your ad platforms. And typically the way that we end those endpoints are through thank you pages or through events. Like when I see event, Calendly, for example, is a really good example of this. So Calendly, it will show you like, not people, but basically the number of times that some visitor has like looked at the calendar, selected a date, selected an hour, and then actually booked. So you can see all of these little micro events that are happening, and then the one event that you're actually looking for. And then what you can do with that event is you can, connect your Google Analytics to it. And then from your analytics, you're going to connect that to your Google ads. And then you're going to connect your pixel to your Facebook and Instagram ads so that it is sending this data back and forth. And so, and your analytics systems know these endpoints and whether they're firing. Now, you're going to use things like UTMs, and we're going to talk about UTMs, not in this live, but in the next few lives, of how to connect those ads, like whether it's YouTube or whether it's Instagram or LinkedIn. I haven't given LinkedIn any love, or TikTok or whatever. You're going to be able to determine which of those are actually leading to that calendar being booked. And then that is kind of step one towards starting to scale, right? Because if you can figure out what rate, the conversion rate, right? If it's 2% from TikTok, if it's 3% from Facebook, if it's 5% from YouTube, what you're going to do is you might want to keep all of these systems on, but you're going to start slowly shifting budget over to the one that is converting the best. And you're going to be able to do that because you know what the endpoint of this funnel is, and you're connecting the click to the endpoint via UTMs, and you're going to be able to make sense of it. So, but that is getting way ahead, right? That's the fun part that I shouldn't say that's fun. Maybe that's not fun, but if you are in this to make money, if you're in this to impact others, if you're in this to grow your brand and your reach, then that stuff matters, right? But you have to kind of figure out all of this other stuff beforehand. So you have to figure out your offer, you have to get it validated, you have to understand your numbers and your KPI. And then that's when you start understanding, okay, once this is validated, once these numbers work, okay, now I can start assembling my funnel. What does this funnel look like? Well, that's exactly kind of the steps that we talked about here of how to map it out, how to create your endpoints and all of that. So, all right, Luis, I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much. I enjoy your content as well. And I can start to read it now that my Spanish is improving. I did know a little bit of Spanish before coming here, and it's kind of fun to be able to, I don't know, hop into conversations with folks. And sometimes it comes out quite naturally. Somebody asked me for directions last night. I felt pretty cool saying a la derecha. I said a little bit more beyond that. But at the same time, like, it's just fun to be able to, I don't know, do it and have my kids experience another culture, have them speak Spanish and say hola to people and cuchara and, like, just like, I don't know, normal things. So anyways, I'm going to sort of wrap it up here. Here's the call to action. I have nothing for sale. If you want to get kind of early access into this Mastering Funnels workshop, then click a link on the screen. It's going to take you to some newsletter. Literally, there is no drip. There's nothing at this point. It's just capturing your email so that I can hit you up at some point when this workshop goes live. I don't know what it's going to look like, whether it's going to be a webinar, whether it's going to be a one-time workshop, whether it's going to be like group coaching or any of that. I haven't figured that out, nor do I think it matters at this point, because what I'm doing is I'm validating this offer. I'm talking about it. I'm fleshing it out. I've pre-sold this. I've got people coming through it starting on Thursday. They're going to kind of be my first go through, and then I'm going to open this up to like a beta group. And then what I want to do is turn this into, I don't know whether it's a course, whether it's coaching or not. I'm really not too concerned at that point. What I am concerned about is doing literally exactly, I shouldn't say literally, so overused. What I am concerned about is doing exactly what I talked about though here. And I'm I almost said it again. And I'm doing that, right? I'm putting it out there. I'm pre-selling it, validating with this, trying to get feedback from the market. Once I understand what this offer is, right, then I'm going to go out and I'm going to start doing the numbers and figuring out how this is going to work. And then if I feel like that's going to work, then I'm going to build a little funnel, right? I own masteringfunnels.com. I'm not using it at this moment. I'm not building it. I'm not going to do that. There's a landing page with a picture on there. That's all I have, right? I don't need to overdo this. And I think that's what folks do, a little too often, myself included. The very first course and training that I built out and I didn't even market it. And like, I felt like a failure, literally, but nobody had heard about it. Nobody had seen it, all of this other stuff. So I've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot with, working with either small software teams or small offers. Just, this is the important part. This is fleshing it out. So if you take anything away from this, just be encouraged that if you have an idea that you can bring to the market and you think it is valuable, do it. Don't go out and build a website. You don't have to get all fancy with it. Just like do the uncomfortable next step of getting it in front of somebody, pitching it to somebody, give them a discount if that works for you. Like, you don't have to be making bank on this first go around. Get your market, get your offer figured out to figure out what value you can bring to somebody. Try to provide the most value that you can to somebody without doing all of these other things, right? Move the needle for them in this one direction. And if that works, then you can start thinking about like how to start scaling this up. So anyways, guys, thank you, guys and gals. Thank you for joining me on this live. It's been fun. First one that I've done since moving to Puerto Rico. So thank you for all of that. Thanks for the support. I try to do a few pieces. I'm trying to make more content about where we are because it's beautiful and it's fun and I want to share that. I kind of don't do the whole the family and the kids things on the social because I want them to have a say in that. But I do post some stories from time to time. So if you want to check things out, you can follow along. If you want to learn more about anything, you can go to jasonwilmot.me. I should just put that in here, jasonwilmot.me. That is my link tree from which you can check out lots of things. I've got free ebooks for those in the real estate marketing, those who are running funnels. I've got a $27 mini workshop called Retargeting IQ. I've got Funnel Accelerator and coaching beyond that if you want to start scaling and doing paid ads that way. So anyways, guys, thank you very much. This was a lot of fun getting on this. Again, if you have any questions, if you're watching this after the fact, go ahead and drop a comment below. And then I will address that in the next. Otherwise, I'll try to go live it'll probably be on Thursday, kind of with phase 2 about all of this. And phase 2 is going to be on ROI tracking. How do you literally connect your money online? How do you spend money? How do you realize or understand if there is money that was coming out on the other side? So, and when I say money, it should also be time. So time, money, and energy. But specifically, I like living in areas that can be scaled, and this is very hard to scale your time. So that's why I do love to use paid ads, and that's why we're going to be focusing on paid ads or influencers or whatever it is going to be. It's like it's basically not your time, but how do you figure out the ROI between all of the things that you're doing and the output? And so that's what we're going to be talking about next week. So, all right, guys, thank you very much. Thank you again, and yeah. Gracias de Puerto Rico. That's enough of that. All right. Adios, guys.